Welcome to EDUC 421, Organizational Design and Engagement 1. My name is Mark Vermillion, and I'm the Director for the Organizational Leadership and Learning Degree Program, and I'm also going to be teaching this class this particular semester. In this real brief presentation today, we just want to walk through some of the bits and pieces of the class. We want to talk about some logistics, obviously, that we're going to talk about here. We want to talk a little bit about philosophy, and then we're going to talk about some other things like knowledge development that's going to be helpful moving forward as you go throughout our abbreviated semester. First thing to remember in terms of logistics, this is going to be an abbreviated semester. What do I mean by that? This is an 8-week online course that does not have any required course meetings, okay? Now, just because we don't necessarily have any in-person required courses or classes where we're going to meet, doesn't mean that you're not going to have expectations. And we'll talk about those as we kind of start moving forward. But in terms of logistics, what I really encourage you to do is maintain constant communication with me as much as possible. If you have a question, feel free to reach out to me. If you have a discussion point or you just have something that you want to bring to bear for the course, again, please feel free to reach out to me. Another thing that's going to be really important is that the entire course is going to be posted on our course's Blackboard shell. And what does this mean? This means that everything is there, whether it's the notes, the required readings, whether you're talking about additional lectures and podcasts, or if you're talking about just the PowerPoints for the notes, all the assessments, the final project, the syllabus quiz, the other assignments, it's all posted there already. This way, you can manage your schedule as you see fit. There are going to be due dates for particular assessments, but you have control and autonomy in regards to how you want to structure your time throughout our 8 weeks together. Also, the final point is please make sure that you go to the course Blackboard shell, surf around, make sure you're comfortable with all the information, but then also while you're there, go through and look at the syllabus. The syllabus is the informational document for the entire course. What do I mean? It's got the schedule, it's got the all the points that you're going to need for the course. It has a list of the learning objectives, also has a lot of useful information about Wichita State in general. All that information is contained there, so please make sure that you're looking at all that. Point number 2 for today. Really want to talk about kind of this idea that stories matter, okay? And that's an extension of what we try to do here in organizational leadership and learning as a major and as a degree, but particular to this class is that I really want you to, I really encourage you to think about the experiences that you've had, your experiences, your stories, and I want you to try to connect them with the ideas that we're going to be talking about throughout this particular semester. And what a lot of educational research has shown is that if you're able to personalize the class, and what I mean by that is if you're able to take your experiences and connect them with the content of the course, then you have a better chance of understanding, learning, and retaining this information moving forward. Another part of the philosophy of this particular class is that you set your own expectations, okay? So whether we're talking about education or if we're talking about other aspects of life, you're going to get out of that experience what you put into it, right? How much you invest in something, that's going to generate the return that you're going to have. And this class is no exception, okay? I really encourage you to think about the assignments, to think about, how they're going to relate to not just your career or your moment right now, but also moving forward. How can these ideas guide some of the decisions that you're going to be making, later on down the line in a variety of different occupations and careers that you're going to embark upon? Third, in terms of the philosophy that's really important for us in this class is time management. Time management is one of those things. It's a soft skill, 21st century skill, whatever nomenclature you want to use that helps that idea to resonate with you. Time management is one of those things that a lot of employers talk about. This is what we need. We need employees. We need people matriculating into our organization that have an ability to manage and structure their time. All right. This is an autonomous schedule for this particular course. What does that mean? Well, there's no regular meeting day and time, right? The information is all posted ahead of time there on the Blackboard shell. Now, there are some due dates for particular assessments or quizzes or things like that. So you need to be, need to make sure that you are, hitting those particular deadlines and timelines. But like anything else, what I want you to do is, how am I going to structure my time? I recommend, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I personally recommend that you pick a day of the week that you're going to devote the same day and the same time per week that you're going to devote towards this class. Because what that does is that creates a modicum of structure for you. You can build it into your work schedule. You can build it into your other academic schedule. You can even build it into your social schedule. And you know that you have time set aside, a day and a time that you can engage with the course material. I will tell you that all the due dates for the class were put together using WSU's academic calendar, and they were done so ahead of time. And so I've tried to take into consideration the different things that are going on at the university, all those types of things. So again, time management is going to be a really, really important thing in terms of the philosophy of the course. Finally, and this is something I do in every single class I teach, whether it's a 100 level or an 800 or 900 level course here at Wichita State, it doesn't necessarily matter. We want to talk a little bit about, and this is kind of an extension of the philosophy, right? We want to talk about generating knowledge. How do you develop knowledge? Well, I'm not going to stand here and say that I'm the smartest person in the world. So what I do is I go back to people and I listen to people that are far smarter than me. So in regards to developing knowledge, we want to talk and listen to Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, okay? And really what he said is that knowledge, which is what we are trying to develop here, right? Knowledge is really the intersection of two things. One is truth, okay? And then the other is belief. All right, let's talk a little bit about truth first. Truth is pretty simple. It's looking at and understanding the world around you. So when you talk about leadership best practices, these best practices have been put together by industrial and organizational psychologists or leaders who have long careers of working with people, and they take their experiences and they kind of walk through the social scientific process. And what they do is they help to give us the best practices. They help to give us the truth, the information. You know, this is sort of akin to scientific fact, if you will. All right. And this is the easy stuff. This is the stuff that you can go and find that's pretty readily available. All right. Now, the second part of developing knowledge is really belief, right? Being able to see that this information, believe in and incorporating it into your leadership philosophy, incorporating it into your worldview, or those types of things. It doesn't necessarily matter if the information is just out there. If you choose to use or not use this information, that really takes this idea of developing knowledge to the next level, okay? And what's really incumbent about this entire process is that this really is all about critical thinking. Now, there's sort of this misnomer, right? That critical thinking means being negative all the time. And that's not necessarily how we're going to use it. That's not how I conceptualize it. Being critical or thinking critically is about looking at something on an in-depth level. Don't just take the surface level explanation, but dive down a little bit and try to better educate yourself, better educate the group that you're working with, or better educate the organization or community that you're going to be a part of. And that for us really is what critical thinking is all about, okay? Now, for all of this stuff, as we start moving through this particular course, you know, something I think is really, really important is to talk about the part that I play in the process of developing knowledge. My job is not to tell you how to think, how to believe, how to act, or how to behave. Rather, my purpose in this particular position really is to just simply facilitate content. We have a lot of this information that is out there. Okay, and if we're really focusing on trying to develop knowledge in this particular course, what I do is I try to bring to bear all the truth, right? I try to bring to bear the information and then sort of provide an opportunity for you to engage with that material. And we try to do this through, you know, real world application and those types of things. But really that's my purpose in this particular course, is to give, you know, provide access to the information for you. And then moving on, as you start thinking about your career, whether it's academic or eventually your professional career, your job is to take this information and start to incorporate it into things like your leadership philosophy, things like your worldview, how you're going to engage with other individuals or organizations and communities. So this really is kind of the focus of everything we're trying to do, and that's develop knowledge. Because one of the things that we know is that when you start thinking about leadership, is that the more you know about the situation, then the better prepared you're going to be to better engage not just yourself and your experiences and kind of process those experiences through different frameworks, but also how you're going to relate or engage with other people, whether we're talking about individuals, whether we're talking about small groups, big groups, entire organizations, or if we're even talking about entire communities. This is really what we want to do moving forward. Now, the thing that I think is going to be really important as we start to move through this semester is primarily your understanding of management. Okay, now this is a leadership class, so we're talking about management here at the end because it's about managing this knowledge development process, right? And that's going to involve engaging with the content to some extent, but that's also going to involve managing your schedule and your time. Like I said, this is an 8-week online course, and there are due dates. There are mile markers spread throughout the entire semester to kind of keep you on track. But ultimately, this is a class where you're going to be able to have control over when you learn, how much you learn, and whether you turn these assessments or these types of assignments and things like that in. Really, what's important for me is to be available. Now, I do have a number of hats, quote unquote, that I wear here at Wichita State University. And at times those can cut into the teaching that I do, whether the different administrative positions and whatnot. But please make sure that you reach out to me with any questions that you have. Feel free to drop me an email, and I always recommend emailing me directly, mark.vermillion@wichita.edu, as compared to going through Blackboard. If you email me directly, I do my best to respond back to you as soon as possible. Also, thank you. You have a lot of different options and opportunities here at Wichita State to consume a lot of great classes, a lot of information. And so I appreciate you taking the time to join in and be part of EDUC 421. As I said before, if there's anything else that I can do moving forward, please don't hesitate to reach out and have a wonderful semester.